Well, hello, and thank you for inviting me to the call. I really love these product training calls, and I'm so glad that you've all tuned in. Today, we're going to look at the science behind our recently launched Energy and Performance Booster. This is the latest addition to the booster line, and we're already getting tremendous feedback. Let's take a look. Now, I know you all have been having great success with our original Reds and Greens optimizer product. It really represented a breakthrough in science, and this version shares something in common: epigenetics. Now, the word breakthrough is so often used and abused in nutritional products, but let me explain to you why this term is accurate here. Epigenetics is a breakthrough because we're all taking place in this revolution in science. Doctors and scientists are all throwing away their old books on genetics because this field of epigenetics is completely changing our understanding of this topic. This new field, epigenetics, has now taught us that we can actually change the codes embedded in our own DNA. This means we have control over what lies within our DNA. Soon, we're going to be able to predict disease and have a chance to avoid it through epigenetics, and we'll soon be able to tailor medications and even diets for you to have the best outcomes. And I tell you that in less than 10 years from now, we're all going to have access to our own genetic codes and the potential epigenetic switches that will affect our lives. Let's look at how this field has actually grown. I first noticed material coming out in the journals around the year 2000. It was interesting, but still pretty undeveloped. Now, just look at how the science has grown from a couple dozen articles in 2000 to over 20,000 articles in 2020. This is a 1,000% increase, and Immunotec is now part of this revolution. Let me explain how this works. You see, on top of our DNA strands, there are these little switches that we never knew about. And here you see that this switch is in a neutral position, and the result of the DNA is your average guy taking a comfortable walk. What happens when you trigger a bad epigenetic switch? See what happens. Maybe arthritis, maybe an autoimmune disease. What kind of things can trigger a bad switch? Well, poor diet, toxins, even stress, and more. Okay, what happens when you trigger a good switch? Maybe you'll end up with increased muscularity, maybe better endurance. How do you turn on these good switches? Aha, that's the key message here. So, what do you want to do? Well, the answer is pretty easy. Let me show you how. So we are learning more and more every year what are the good switches and what are the bad switches. And furthermore, which genes can be influenced. So which gene do you think has received some of the most attention to date? You probably got it right. Yeah, the NRF2 gene. Now you recognize his name, but even a year ago, you didn't even hear about this until, of course, we brought out the original optimizer. And what is the best NRF2 activator? In other words, what's the best thing to turn this gene on? Well, you've been paying attention this past year. You probably got this answer too: sulforaphane, the little molecule that lives inside of fresh broccoli. So your grandmother was right. Eat your broccoli. It's good for you. Well, she didn't know why it was good for you, but now we do. And what evidence do I have to say that this is the best trigger? Well, you've always heard me repeat research, research, research. Now look at the research evidence. When you compare sulforaphane to any other substance, it has by far the strongest effect on turning on the NRF2 gene. What does this gene do? Called a survival gene, it will improve all of your antioxidant function. Now, this is whether it's in a pill form or even more importantly, whether it's even in the fresh foods, fruits, and vegetables that you should be eating every day. And another interesting feature here is that research suggests that when you turn this gene on, it can stay open. It can improve your antioxidant function for about 3 days. But let's not forget what for me was the most important thing about this NRF2 gene. NRF2 also improves your glutathione function. We are the only company that can supply the best glutathione precursors and now the best NRF2 activator. So imagine this. Take all that incredible science and add energy into the equation. Start with caffeine from natural green coffee. This kicks in rapidly, often within less than 30 minutes. Then add a slightly different form of caffeine from green tea. This will take over when the green coffee wears off. Finally, guarana to keep this energy going even longer. So ultimately, what you have is an energy source that is both fast acting and long lasting. Beautiful. So you'll see this infographic on the energy and performance booster material. Of course, there's going to be some variation depending on your genetics and depending on your habits. And I do have to make some qualifying remarks. Number one, some people might find that if they take the energy and performance booster too late in the day, it may possibly interfere with falling asleep at night. And number two, just like for any energy supplement, every energy supplement, a word of caution for people with high blood pressure, hypertension, cardiac or heart conditions, or those with a lot of anxiety who react poorly with caffeine. Remember, this product really works. So I hope you all have some deeper insight into the energy and performance booster. There's many ways you can use it in the morning to get you off to a great start, during periods of the day where you're starting to feel sluggish. I just spoke to somebody who mixes up the energy booster with platinum about an hour before working out and then follows up an hour after the workout with another Immunocal mixed with the reds and greens booster. A lot of creative ideas. I'm sure we're going to find out even more spectacular feedback from the field as the weeks go by. And to health, great speaking to you all.